Hello. I have decided, since it is August the 5th today, and there's been no sounds from Steve Donahue on what the next Lonely Trollop is, that I'll just pick a Lonely Trollop to read this month, and we'll just sort of see how things go. Maybe Steve's sort of decided to put that aside. Maybe he's got better idea of the numbers on stuff like this. People maybe just not that interested. um, there's us fanatics out there, but I can understand if he's like, yeah, there's better uses of my time. So that said, I have picked up Cousin Henry, an 1879 novel, short novel, by Trollope. So that's actually quite later in his career because he dies in 1882, I believe, and probably posthumous books come out. But so yeah, I've decided to pick this one. And actually, when I went to Goodreads, Katie of I think it's Books and Things is her booktube title, had actually left a review and actually quite liked it. So that's a good sign. This is in Wales apparently, though so far it's hard to tell. But it's Uncle Idifer is having a discussion with Isabel Broderick, her his a niece of hers, and she's saying how it's like, no, I'm not going to marry him. He's odious to me, and the odious fellow is another nephew, is a nephew of Idifer, cousin Henry, which he's sadly had come to the realization that he does believe in primogeniture too much, not to leave the property to his only the surviving male heir, no matter how much he thinks that Isabel is just the best, most greatest person in the universe, but she's a woman, and he just can't leave property to her. The land, which is always so vital, and he's really trying to get her to actually just marry him so that she would have the property. And she's like, no, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I could only do that if I actually loved him, and I don't love him. I actually find him rather, ugh. We get a kind of a synopsis of Cousin Henry, who was, I guess, somewhat a sly child, given to lying, and then went away. He did stuff at the he was given an education because Uncle Idifer, did actually, provide him with education. His his father, also Henry, was kind of a disgrace of the family, given to gambling and all the sorts of bad things. But he was given education. Got set up in a law office, and after maybe sending a couple of debts to setting debts to his uncle thing, he seemed to actually now kind of settle down and was like, just making his way and stuff like that. Um, but still, nobody likes him. Anytime we visit, everyone's like, they don't like him. They do love Isabel, but in the end, he can't do it. And Isabel is actually fine with that. She thinks that it should be properly done this way. This is what's going to make, and she really kind of treats the old man a little bit curtly, just to try and make it easier on him to leave the house and all that to the thing. And what we find out later is that she goes to Hereford, where I guess she has, that's her family, but there's also a curate there, a clergyman, who she quite loves, and has asked her to marry her. But and though she actually does love him, she doesn't show it. And she says, well, I'll have to ask my uncle. And the uncle, when he hears, like, and at this point he was going to leave her the land, he's like, what? That was his father's, that was like is an innkeeper. It's like, I can't have an innkeeper actually inheriting my land. It's like, she says like, no. And it's like, it's just once, and she accepts that, and she says, no, my uncle does not wish it. So that's the end of it. And never brings it up again. Even though if she had brought it up again, he probably would have wavered on it because he just wants to make her happy. In the third chapter, the cousin comes comes to the property. Like he gets invited down by the uncle, who's still kind of hoping maybe Isabel will change her mind. But we get introduced to Cousin Henry, and Cousin Henry, he is pretty much an unlikable guy. He's not. He doesn't really care about his like kind of all the law stuff. He'd really like to get the land. He's like, he hears like his uncle's like, oh, I'd like you to, it would make me happier if it was. I don't really like you. I'm just doing this because that's the proper thing to do. That the eldest male should get the property. And so he's like, oh, okay, well, it would make things better for me, make it more certain that I was going to get the land if I asked her. So I'll go ask her. And if, worst comes to worst, if I ask her and she says no, well, then I can just tell my uncle and then say, I did try and all that. She says no. She does actually say, you're odious to me when pressed. And it's like, look, apologies. Look. And then she gives him the advice, look, don't tell him that you tried this. Just go out, try and make nice with all the tenants, do all that stuff. That's the best way. Don't hang about him because he doesn't like you. If you just kind of leave him alone, you're more certain to get the land. And he's like, He does go off and look at the tenancies, and he comes back and he tells his uncle about all the things that are wrong with the land, which doesn't really endear himself to the uncle. And he also decides to ignore her advice and say, well, I did ask, because, it would be a real good deal for us. And he's like, oh, you did it because it was a good deal, nothing to do with love or anything like that. It was just totally mercenary for you, wasn't it? And it totally does alienate the old man, though maybe not to the point where the old man's going to actually just cancel everything. But yeah, so you can see that it's not, Cousin Henry is definitely not somebody you're gonna, because she says like, look, I would only marry you if I actually loved you, besides the land. And you can tell this isn't a guy that anybody is going to love for those reasons. And judging from the chapters coming forward, Uncle's not too long for this world, and so she's going to have to make her own way in the world, while Cousin Henry gets the land, I guess. We'll see how this gets spun out into a novel. Of course, it's a tiny novel in trollop terms. It's like only 336 pages. But yeah, so that's the first 3 chapters of Cousin Henry. Yet another novel that maybe should have been called by the woman's name, but it's Promogenitor, I guess, as well in titles where we have to have the male. We're having a male name, I guess. We shall see. All right, more videos later.